We'll see what changes in game 2, though. Do you expect an Athena ban this time? Or take away, at least?
I don't want to see Athena. I don't want to see Scotty again, either. I think that Scotty pick was a huge issue for Wowy to deal with. It was, because sops just had so much ability to free farm, especially after the start that they managed with Wowy trying to contest on the buffs. That was a really unfortunate early spill for Wowy, but there's just so much control that a Scotty can provide between that permafrost and her first ability being so damaging with that Calder follow-up dash. Even after the nerf, it's still a very large issue to deal with.
Well, Nemesis kept banned out Cabrakan from Noble this time. They didn't want to deal with that one again. Will they go with the Athena? It'll be the Amaterasu once more. So Athena first pick?
It could be Athena first pick, considering that it's Salsa Squadron. They've been doing it all game long, and sure enough, they're not going to take any more chances. They opted for that Athena, and I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
I know, it's the main reason with that. Hoagie locked in this time, so a little bit more aggression from sops in the laning phase, and jungle buff clear is the one thing, I guess, is the difference between that and the Xing way. Obviously, has a better chance of securing your own buffs with those triple ricochets, and a Naja for potentially Skeeledon.
Here comes out Skeely. That Naja is a pick that he absolutely loves going to, and it's all on the line right now for Noble as well. If they want the chance to stay alive and look to progress towards Super Regionals, they've got to make it through this set against Salsa Squadron first.
I like the Ganesha pick here as well, but this means that Athena won't be in the support role. Athena could be in the jungle this time round, so we'll see what happens here. Ganesha means that we're not going to see Mineral and Athena, surely.
I think it'll be Ganesh in the support role, and then Athena possibly in the jungle. That would kind of maintain a little bit more towards Yunglad's God Pool. And I think that it's something that they could certainly flex pick with. It provides a lot of opportunity for them still having a ton of frontlining potential.
I think the big reason for the Ganesha pick in my eyes is to deal with the Naja, because Naja likes to sash in and then follow up with extra damage. If you're silencing it, you can't ult after the sash, potentially, or misdirect, because silence comes out straight away. We'll see how it works, though. Here come the counterbans, Fafnir, Sol, and Poseidon, and then a Geb.
All those supports. They're really not wanting to allow Wubbn onto any of the standard Guardians we've seen him run. Osiris actually going to be the next choice, and that's going to be for Whalrus. Whalrus' Osiris, though, is pretty insane.
Can be said. I don't think he had a terrible game on the Hercules, realistically. He just couldn't do much with how his team was elsewhere on the map. Cernunnos, though, is left up, and this time Sops will get him for himself. And Janus for the mid lane. Okay, so mobility, at least from Athena Global and Janus Global, that'll come into play here. Noble, though, with a very damaging team fight-orientated team, and with a Xing 10, that's even more of that.
Noble is just looking to put it on all in. They have a lot of hypercarry potential between that Thoth, Naja, and the Hu Yi, so it's Salsa Squadron. The positioning is going to be incredibly difficult to try and establish.
I'm just not down on the Athena jungle. I think that's where my biggest problem with this comp feels for Salsa Squadron here. I'm not as down as I was with how the last game looked.
I'm actually all right with the Athena jungle in the regard that I want to see Athena ultimates with the Janus ultimates being combined. That way they have a chance to kind of separate Noble. That was Salsa Squadron's main advantage in game 1, was they just kept splitting Noble up.
My biggest problem with it is the Athena early game. It's not the strongest in terms of wave clear right at the start, especially with how the map's going to lay out. If he goes against Whalrus and Skeeledon in the solo lane, they'll lose that trade against an Osiris Naja, no problem. If he goes against Wubbn and moswal in the mid lane, if they choose to start there, he's going to lose that trade too. Like, there's no winning trade here. And this pressure that you get put onto you at the start is something obvious that should happen if there's an Athena jungle.
Well, Noble know that they have it, and they're ready to exert it onto Salsa. Skeeledon already hanging around their jungle because they could probably spot out that Salsa Squadron wanted to start on their buffs.
I like this ring toss, early ring toss into wave clears, straight into pressure in the jungle. We'll see if they use the Hog here. Broad did start with Hog again on the Chulainn. See if they choose it here, because they didn't last game. They chose to save it for the blue buff, and then they even went to it to begin with, so didn't really work out for speedy starts. But Wowy once again being pressured in his own jungle by the dual lane, Sops and Mineral.
Except this time around, Wowy probably not going to look to try and contest on this purple buff. We saw what happened last game, and I don't think he wants to repeat it.
Right-hand side, though, the blue buff will go the way of Bra. He does secure it, and that means Noble didn't find the win they were after, realistically, with the gank potential and the pressure they've got from a Naja and an Osiris early on.
Bra getting a lot of value right now out of this Chulainn Hog start. Typically, you don't see too many solo laners opting for that. Speaking of which, Yunglad and Bra now trying to contest Noble. Skeeledon, though, not going to connect with that sash.
And with minions being in lane too, they've got to be a little bit careful on that right-hand side what ends up happening there. Noble in the mid lane, we'll get the left-hand harpies here, is now Salsa Squadron. After stripping away the red and purple buff from Noble on the left-hand side, they're going to get their own, give that one over to Janus as well, and now the result in purple too. So once again, very similar story on this left-hand side of the map.
This is the perfect start, though, for sops on that Cernunnos. You want to have pressure, and right now he's got a ton of it against Wowy. He'll be hitting level 4 right around the time that Wowy starts to hit 3, and that's a huge advantage for a hunter.
Meanwhile, the mid lane, Sheyka didn't really find much farm in this lane, being left on his own. He didn't get the left harpies or the right harpies. They both went to Noble there, but these ones are being contested still, and they will split 1 for 1 actually. So in the end, did okay. It's
okay though if Sheyka takes that little bit of an experience hit because he's Janus. He's not looking to be an aggressing, damaging factor early on. Janus level 5 is kind of just a laughed at. That's purely a disengaging factor or an engaging factor.
Bit of pressure in mid from Wubbn. Onto Wubbn from Mineral. Right-hand side, you saw Whalrus had to walk through Death's Door in terms of the Athena and the Chulainn too. And left-hand side of the map, Sops has pressure, as we talked about, just because of the extra advantages he had in terms of taking all the camps and hitting level 4 first.
And Younglad actually choosing to stick around in the soul lane just a little bit longer, recognizing that's probably going to be his best opportunity for farming efficiently.
It is a slow start squad this from Salsa Squadron, though. It's all about farming in the early game. There's nothing here that you go, they need to go off right at the start of the game. None of them want to do that. Maybe Chulainn at best, but it's never really going to happen. Noble, meanwhile, I mean, you've got the likes here of Skeeledon on this Naja. You're looking for quick kills, quick rotations, easy pressure if you can find it and put some beat down on.
All I'm saying is if Skeeledon hits an ultimate, Salsa Squadron's just dead.
Well, hang on a second, because wrapping around the back, there's a blink out of Wubbn, trapping Mineral in place. Mineral has his ult, but gets sashed and can't even get his silence off because he immediately gets taken to the sky. On dunk down, there's a boom coming out from moswal, but still he will live. Ring toss to the rescue. He had support from Sheyka, but Sheyka's support actually allowed the ring toss to kill him.
That wasn't even a fully charged final judgment from moswal. He just barely hit level 5 in time to get that ultimate off to look for the secure onto Mineral. Luckily enough, that ring toss does end up landing that bounty for Noble, but cutting it kind of close.
It caught it close, but the good news is Skeely got the kill, and that was a big thing from him as well. With that ring toss, going for Talaria boots as well, so mobility, HP 5 as well, and every single time you get a ring bounce, it's pretty much guaranteed some extra gold, because you probably haven't tagged that target recently.
It also forced out Sheyka's ultimate. I believe that Sheyka had just
Sheyka's not got to ult, you said. And now he's going to have to use his beads, catches Younglad, who was trying to help him out, but Younglad back to safety now that Mineral and Bra are together. So in the end, that's a wash, but Sheyka's in trouble now. No beats, no ult for a while, as Whalrus now being looked at.
Whalrus, though, not really too concerned about being aggressed on by an Athena this early. Skeeledon, though, completely different story, getting knocked up by that Mineral dash in from the Ganesha.
Messy fight between the two. Lord of the Afterlife out from Whalrus did a lot of work there. moswal now starts to swing around from mid. There's still Mineral in trouble with that Ganesha. He's still trying to get away from Whalrus, who's now having to fall back towards his team. Bra doing some great work with the AoE there to slow them down. But that was a very weird fight. Salsa Squadron, I don't think they should have taken it. Bra wasn't on the same page at the start. He was still doing blue when we saw the engage from Younglad.
Bra just wanted to lock down his own blue buff, not really too concerned about Noble having invade potential since he does have that hog.
He might actually lose it now because Skeeledon and Wubbn could walk over, but instead they're going to go to the safety of the Fire Elementals, and the right-hand Harpies as well are about to spawn. Hunters, meanwhile, still following up. Both of them now.
They're not done. They're not done just yet. Wubbn actually went in. Wubbn just committed the blink to this fight. He's ready to go in.
Nice silence out of Mineral, though, will stop any ult coming out from Skeeledon. Blue buff is stripped away and given over to Wubbn there, who's not going to be unhappy about cooldown and mana on a support Xing Tan.
No, that was a great blink in there by Wubbn, recognizing that he had still a little bit of aggression potential. And speaking of which, Wowy ready to go in.
Oh, he's got an ult. He's got an ult just in time. Ult comes back up, so now he's relied on his beads. He needs to stay alive 70 seconds for his beads to come back up. Nice rotation from Wowy.
This is already a completely different Noble, though, than what we saw in Game 1. Only 5.5 minutes in climbing, and they are really starting to put out the kind of pressure that you expect to see from this draft. Skeeledon and Whalrus, they are a dynamic pair. They really work excellently together, and it's starting to show.
It is starting to show for now, but this is a very aggressive comp from Noble. That's the big key here. You can see the aggression now still going on. Skeeledon's pressuring in the jungle once more. Up and down onto the pressure man, which is Younglad. The Athena is going to come tumbling down and get picked up by Wubbn, who cleans it up. And now Sheyka's in trouble too. As Sheyka will get through the portal in time back to safety. I tell you what, He's barely living every single time.
There's actually action happening all over the map. We saw that quick shift away, but this is why. It's because Wowy has just been handing it, or not handing it to Sops, but really been going back and forth with Sops, trying to do as much as he can. Great wild hunt there from Sops, but the final judgment, he's going to have to use the bees to dash away from that one.
moswal turns up a little bit too late, can't find the kill on Skeeledon on his own. If he hangs around too much more, he could take a lot more poke. The ring toss from Skeeledon bounced to 2 targets, slowed him down and allowed Mineral to die. Brock comes in though, trying to turn this one around, but a great up down from Wubbn slows him down for a moment until the salmon comes to the rescue. Knock up onto Whalrus, and Broad still trying to get away, but Yunglad is back. I want to keep saying Mineral whenever I see an Athena, but it's the young lad that came through, and now Gold Fury could be a choice for Salsa.
Can't blame you on that one, considering that's all we've seen out of Mineral so far. But speaking of which, you got moswal on that backside, just juking out that unstable vortex from Sheyka.
That was great from both of them. Sheyka's like, I see you, comes through the wall, looks for the shotgun, doesn't find it because moswal's just sidesteps in time. Gold Fury reset, 3-1. Noble up in terms of gold, up in terms of kills, but not by a lot.
Jeez, if Sops had dashed even half a second later.
And ult from Sheyka too. This is what's happening to Janus every single time. As soon as he gets anywhere, he's just immediately having to burn beads or ult every single time.
But this is still working out pretty well because Sheyka hasn't died. He might be burning out his ultimate, but it's still fairly early game Janus. You're not really using that ultimate as a damaging factor. You want that ultimate as kind of the disengage.
But the problem is Salsa doesn't have any damage in the early game. And without Janus coming online eventually, like, it's just delaying him coming online longer. You know what I mean? Like, you can see the experience difference. 60 isn't a huge amount in terms of experience, but I mean, gold-wise, this is going to start having an impact if he has to keep going back to base.
If he keeps getting pressured out from Noble as the game progresses towards that mid-late game stage, then yeah, it's going to be a huge issue because you can't have that from a Janus. You need him to start doing a little bit during these team fights, but I do agree it will be kind of difficult for Salsa Squadron to have that lockdown potential.
A little bit, I thought it was a cheeky Gold Fury attempt there, but it's just the oracles going down as blue buff was stolen away by Noble once again. Skeeledon's got a 1-level lead over Yunglad in the jungle now, but the biggest difference, I guess, is looking at the solo laners here. Both of them have a kill, but Whalrus has a 2-level lead.
And Whalrus just doing everything that he can in this lane right now. Osiris is just one of those gods that laning phases aren't really an issue for him.
Yeah, I would actually look at his relic choice as well at the start, looking for the Enfeebling Curse, just causing so many problems. Is it called Enfeebling Curse now?
Horrific emblem. It's the horrific emblem.
It's the same thing. I just always, because it's like, okay, it's the slow one that does attack speed as well. That's actually going to be pretty impactful, especially when people like Janus are going to look to get to the wall. If you can't reach the wall because it's too slow, it causes problems.
Well, I want to see a grouping from Noble actually trying to use this to their advantage because there's a lot of mobility and disengage, but if they can force out Salsa Squadron's ultimates defensively as opposed to letting them have the counter-engage potential, and Horrific Emblem, there's no sprints.
Well, he was a little bit worried about face checking that corner, and rightly so. He's got a ward down there just to keep vision of it and forcing them back. Sops, though, went towards mid lane and ran into a Xing 10, so he'll be forced back to duos. Sheyka, meanwhile, just looking to farm up a little bit more. Stay safe until he gets his beads back and his ultimate at the same time. The dream for that mid lane Janus.
That really is my primary concern, though, for Salsa, is where does the damage come from? It's a lot of, we can pull them into us, but who's going to be the person that actually takes somebody out? You're relying so heavily on Sops to be that damaging factor, and I'm sure that Noble's probably already recognized this. I am just waiting for Sops to be the blink ult by Najah every single time.
I think that's one of the reasons you see Skeeledon going for a bit more of a tankier build in terms of for this Najah as well. Just because like Gladiator Shield, yeah, it's viable on him. Obviously the abilities do come into play, gives him some extra sustain, but it gives him extra protections, which is really useful against a team that has low damage output. It's just going to double down on the issue that Salsa Squadron has.
All that Noble really want to do, all that Noble need to do, actually, is just take out one member every single time from Salsa Squadron, and the rest of their draft kind of just falls apart. This team draft is so reliant on every single member being grouped together that the second they split apart, you're really going to start seeing the flaws within it.
It's funny, I feel like you just shut down Sops, but I understand why they're focusing Sheyka a little bit. Hang on a second, though. Gold Fury started up by Noble. Mineral, the only one around, Sops on his way sooner rather than later, and obviously with an Athena, that'll force a reset. Ult for a blink, not too bad. Taunt on Skeeledon under a bit of pressure, eats more damage than he wants to, knocked up in the air. No chance to get away from that. Sunshine spin to win out from Wubbn. Make sure that Mineral gets answered back, and in comes Whalrus.
And Whalrus, this is what he was waiting for. Use that Horrific Emblem onto Yunglad. Yunglad's so slow, but that great ultimate through space and time, going to get both of them out of there. Sheyka and Yunglad. Still, Sops will fall to Noble.
I mean, that's a duo lane dead, and Gold Fury still a viable target for Noble now, knowing that all of those ultimates were used. It's going to be up to Bra, really, to come in and cause a problem, and when they see him step on that ward over the way, Noble decide they've had enough. They've done all they need to. Bra, though, still going at it with Whalrus.
Solo laner. That's just the effect of being a solo laner, where doesn't matter if you're 2 levels behind or any of that. You're just gonna throw out your damage, because if you're not top of the player damage charts as a solo laner early game, then you're not having full run of the role.
I'm talking about player damage and having full roll of the run.
See, it gets in the way, doesn't it? It's like a little bit of a tongue twister. Run of the roll.
Run of the roll.
Yeah.
Fun of the roll, you wait.
No, full run of the roll. Like you're running the lane in that role.
Okay. I mean, I just said it. It's not that difficult. You just made it sound more complex than it was. But Whalrus is top. 7.3k player damage so far. Second after below him is Skeeledon, followed up by Bra at the end of that one. Meanwhile, Janus is doing all right. I was expecting Sheyka to be really low, because every time I look at him, like, he's running away. But it's not too bad. I guess, though, when you've got a team that's got an Athena Ganesha, you're not going to be too far down the charts.
Sometimes I just have to keep reminding myself, too, that it's Bra and Yunglad. It's just, those two go hand in hand with each other. They've been playing together for a while now.
Same as Skeeledon and Whalrus, like the same way you were talking about them. Yeah.
It's great synergy to have that kind of built up, and especially when you're going off against these competitive level teams, you know that you have to bring everything you've got.
Well, Noble, with the last engagement, did pretty well for themselves, got a couple of kills and decided Golf Fury was a little bit too far, but they found some wins. They could head back to it again. You can see the wall coverage is pretty solid, and Skeeledon's always going to be on the hunt for a lone target to sash and all in, and Ganesha could be a prime one.
I actually really like this more aggressive build from Wubbn as well. Normally we see Wubbn playing the hard, pure support kind of build, but going for that Voidstone early on, I love it, because he's playing Xing 10, and that's a god or that you just want to try and put out that little ticks of damage on. Exactly,
and it actually helps to provide more damage for moswal too as this game goes on too. So Xing 10 is always going to be in someone's face, so if that means that moswal is going to do more damage by you just being there too, helps out even more. Really, really useful opportunity for them. See how that works out. Yunglad going to get his own speed buff before Skeeledon or anybody else on Noble can turn up. Getting slowed for a minute here, because I think it's just Salsa Squadron like, I guess we just keep farming. Yep, we're still not online. Let's just keep farming.
I think that last team fight was a real eye-opener for Salsa Squadron. Sure, they didn't lose any global objectives for it. The Gold Fury remained uncontested by Noble, but just recognizing how quickly their own teammates died. And that was with Skeeledon not even getting his ultimate off in that fight.
I just don't like the Athena Ganesha together in this comp. That was my issue. I said that when I was like, I just don't know about the Athena pick in the jungle. Mineral played it well. I feel like they're trying to do too much to answer the Najar with this Ganesha pick, I feel, and it's not really going to work out as well as they hope. And it hasn't so far, because they are lacking damage.
It's always going to be an issue anytime you try to take that risk-reward factor up. And they saw the Naja pick, and recognizing that Ganesha is great against Naja because of that silence, having control with the Dharmic Pillars, it's just they might have needed something else other than a Janus. I feel as though I can't blame Sheyka for going Janus. I completely understand that selection. Janus has his viability in drafts, but in this particular instance, you probably needed something with burst.
But I think that's where Sheyka's playstyle lies. You saw his Poseidon, he goes for the supportive mid lane mage. You know, even with the Poseidon, he went for the Gem of Isolation, goes for Janus, the same sort of thing. They're looking for a pick. Wubbn's the one under pressure, but he is a Xing 10. Xing 10 has plenty of escapes and nice potential to turn around with the ultimate and get away from danger. So not much invested from either team there. Obviously, Wubbn's ult now on cooldown.
For a second there, I thought Wubbn was going to try and throw them back towards his teammates, since moswal and Skeeledon had started making that rotation around the top-end corner of those right mid harpies, just not close enough, and Wubbn not wanting to take any chances of accidentally throwing a god into the wall.
Mid harpy's going to go on the left to Salsa Squadron here. Sheyka on zone duty. Taking a long time to do it because it's only Ganesha really tanking up, but Wubbn's too low on health to really get involved for now. Everyone's still slow, and this is kind of Salsa Squadron's main game plan, isn't it? Hold on until 25 to 30 minutes, and then look for one big team fight where Sops and Sheyka are online. But hold up, they're gonna pull the Gold Fury. They recognize that Xing 10 went back to base here. Brought on zone duty, no advance from Whalrus just yet, but Gold Fury reset as soon as moswal gets it at a poke and Skeeledon arrives.
Whalrus, though, has started making the rotation. They committed the Gold Fury, but the Suns have come raining down. Now it's Skeeledon trying to catch everybody out alongside of Whalrus. Sheyka actually going to clean him up.
He actually hit a couple of people with that through space and time too, putting moswal on the back foot as well. Sheyka getting himself a double kill We said Janus doesn't have damage, but if they're all going to line up like dominoes, it's going to be easy to make them all fall down. Bruh! Will rage in the face of Wowy, and that's a Gold Fury to Salsa Squadron. I don't even know how that happened.
That just completely broke out into hell for Noble. I like the mentality there from Skeeledon and Whalrus. They tried to just group up together to chase down the backline from Salsa, but instead, Sheyka just completely turned everything upside down with that ultimate.
Paul Demon go down very quick here, but can moswal do anything about it? He's charging the ultimate, going to look for the snipe steal. Going to force the reset out of the team, and great reset it was from Salsa. Yunglad, though, is trying to deal with the advanced mineral just on zone G. He drops his ultimate to try and zone him away, and does so just enough to get them the Paul Demon. Salsa Squadron are winning again.
Sheyka was probably clenching.
How are they doing
this? This is just, it was pretty sloppy.
This comp is poop, and it's actually winning now.
But Noble had an incredibly sloppy engagement there, and that's what happens. It doesn't matter how much your draft might not look like it'll work out. If you're going to have the opposing team stack up for Janus ultimates and unstable vortexes, the through space and time and unstable vortex, it's going to add up eventually. And Sheyka, he's level 14 now. It's not like before. It's not like a level 5 Janus anymore.
And now Whalrus is under a lot of pressure, surrounded by 4 members of Salsa Squadron. Has to all over the wall, and bad news is, around the corner was waiting Yunglad's, but Yunglad's only in Athena, still needs some support. Reinforcements on the way from Noble as Wubbn will take Bra for a wild ride. Sops took a lot more damage than he wanted to out of moswal. Meanwhile, the rest of Noble not really here. Left-hand tier 1 tower going down for Wowy as this is going on. The rest of Noble just going to fall back and make sure that Salsa Squadron can't look for that tier 2.
Wowy doing the sops, what sops was doing to Noble all last game with that split push, and Salsa aren't really getting anything out of it. Sure, they're getting the poke out. Sure, they're forcing Noble to back, but Portal Demon's already gone down. There wasn't a Fire Giant attempt, and they just lost their T1 tower for it.
It's funny because I was about to say, I love what Salsa Squadron did there. They rotated Sops over to right-hand side to get a tier 1 tower for free, just catch Noble unaware, but by hanging around and looking for the all-in potential fight on to Whalrus there for the pick, they end up losing their own tier 1 to answer that back.
And Yunglad actually already using his Purification Beads, having expected that Sash ultimate from Skeeledon. That's one of the advantages of having a Najah, is that Beads burner.
Let's see what happens in the mid lane now, because bit of a grouping going on between the two. Yunglad will be looking for the taunts. The follow damage isn't the easiest. Bra will dash in for a second with the Salmon Leap. Eat some poke as Mineral will manage to secure the left-hand Harpies. Everything slows down once more.
And Skeeledon actually sitting at 30% CDR right now. That is a whole lot of cooldown. Very ideal for a Najah.
And the reason is that just spamming your abilities more often?
Spamming that ring toss, spamming the sash, just burning out actives as often as possible, and having your ultimate up every so often.
Skeeledon got poked to half health by that unstable vortex from Sheyka through the wall. Sheyka doing great work on this Janus. I mean, we said he doesn't have good damage, but he's starting to get that damage now. Book of Thoth now looks like Spear of Desolation up next with the penetration. Will start to swing a little bit harder. Because
of all the action that's been happening in the mid lane, we've really gotten a great chance at seeing Sheyka progress with his damage through this game. However, Hunters are going to start being a factor very soon here.
Well, I think sooner rather than later, because Sops there has his chins online now. You saw that he sold his Bumba's mask to make sure he got that completed. So next team fight, Sops is starting to hit even harder this time around. Wowy just a little bit further behind, and I guess that he didn't want to keep getting rid of his Bumbas is the big key.
Getting rid of Boombas at level 16 is perfectly acceptable. It probably just doesn't have enough gold right now to make that a worthwhile trade out.
Well, obviously the second relic's now come online for everybody in this game. Can see Blinks available now for Skeeledon and Wubbn on the side of Noble. Thorns picked up from Whalrus too. 2 sprints from Salsa Squadron. Very wise as well to deal with what Whalrus is bringing with all the slows that he has on an Osiris, as well as the emblem that we spoke about earlier on.
Salsa Squadron are just trying to bank entirely off of counter engage here. Speaking of which, Yunglad, though, trying to be the initiating factor, getting rooted in place immediately. Sun's already raining down. He's getting thrown into the rock.
But it's more about Sops that's in trouble too. The Athena's dead. The portal through from Sheyka will allow him to escape back to Mineral. But Skeely's here. He blinked over the wall. He was looking to keep the pressure going, but he just couldn't find it in time. 1-0. Yunglad falls down.
Fun with Janus and trying to keep up. Even the entire team can be impossible to catch once those portals start coming into play. Sheyka doing a great job there to save the life of his hunter.
But the timing is the awkward thing. That was Salsa Squadron who aggressed. You look at the cooldowns that he used. Sops, no ult, no beads, no Aegis. And what's up in 22 seconds? The Gold Fury. that's going to be a real issue because Sops has to play so far back in the next engagement now.
Noble, though, they don't have any vision on the Fire Giant. They want to be careful here to make sure that Salsa Squadron doesn't try to sneak that one away and just forfeit the Gold Fury. I mean, most teams will take that trade every single time.
Wow, Wubbn was really scared about his position in there. Actually blinked away from Mineral. A little bit worried about the all-in potential, so blink on cooldown for Wubbn. Ward control goes Noble's way for a moment. Oracles are spawning first, and I think we'll see a little contest around those first of all as Mineral tries to silence out Wubbn. Engage and needs some poke around the back though.
Skeeledon. He's right there on the backside. Skeeledon is ready to go in. Sops, he's so out of position, he's not really able to provide this, and I mean, he's just up in the air, he's just dead.
He wasn't out of position, though. The thing is, he just had no cooldown. He had no relics, no ultimate. We said that just before the fight happened, and what happened? Immediately, Skeeledon's like, I know he has no beads, I know he has no Aegis, I know he has no ultimate, let's kill Sops. And now, it's all up to Sheyka, who doesn't have his ultimate up right now. Younglad blinks in, forces a reset, but that's a taunt down. Ring toss comes into play, and now still pressure going on as Whalrus will pick up Younglad.
There's no damage anymore to try and follow up after this. Sure, you've got Sheyka, but Sheyka only has that ultimate really as the form of trying to steal away this Gold Fury, and Noble, they're on the lookout for this.
And the one thing is that these three of these targets here, Ganesha, Chulainn, and Athena, all have to dash at you. They all have to walk up to you. And while you're doing that, Thoth is smashing you in the face, and then so's Wowy. And then if you still get that far, then they're like, all right, we'll fall back and frontline just soak this guy for a second and let's just keep poking him. So they're just getting poked down as they try and run in, especially when they've got no extra damage. So Gold Fury, now a Portal Demon. Fire Giant could be on the cards too here.
It really is just Wowy and moswal having so much range in comparison to the entirety of Salsa Squadron. Really, the members at the most range is going to be Sops with a little bit of an AoE on his second ability, and then Sheyka because he has the portals to cut the distance. But if Sheyka's using those portals aggressively, which we haven't seen him do at all, pretty much every single time he's used his portals, it's been defensive in a defensive manner. It's really just been his ultimate that he's tried to go in with.
Should this be a Fire Giant here? I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to go for the Fire Giant. I guess a little bit worried about Sheyka, but Sheyka no ultimate, and all 5 members of Salsa Squadron alive, so maybe a bit of a war dance. Meanwhile, Wubbn zoning off to the right-hand side is now moswal comes through.
I think Sops got baited by clearing out the wave before that engagement broke out, and Whalrus
Younglad's in trouble. Younglad's already dead. Not going to get away from anything. Sorry to cut you off there, but
no, it's fine. His health bar kind of went down before I could even finish the sentence. So. And
that's a tank too, take that into account. That's where the issue's starting to lie now. Now they can pressure Noble on this mid lane because left-hand side they see Sops is all the way over there. Could have actually looked at Fire Giant there, but I guess this, like I said, still worried about Sheyka.
They heard you. They're headed straight for the Fire Giant right now. They know that Sops is just split pushing. There's pretty much no one here to contest other than Sheyka. Sheyka's got to come up huge with a through space in time.
Bra is on his way first of all on the Chulainn. Sun's come down. Bra's looking for the steal. Ult's early on. Now when the ult comes through, Noble will get the Fire Giant. Sheyka and Bra are in deep, and Bra can't even get to a pole before he's taken off the map. Ganesh is running for his life. Sops will get a tier 2 on the left-hand side, though, but I'm not sure if that's really worth when Mineral falls down in mid, and now Noble can march on for some more towers.
Sops able to at least give his team a little bit of gold after losing the Fire Giant. That's going to actually help them a whole lot in the next stage, because now it's all about playing tower defense.
So tier 2 falls in mid. Meanwhile, right inside, Sheyka's going to keep pushing minions in. Don't think he'll be able to get the tower alone, so yeah, that's why he's going to base, because Noble's going to commit. Blinking from Wubbn, blinking from Younglad to avoid the ult, though, that came out from Wubbn, and a great taunt in from him. Wowy forced out as Wubbn was tanking the tower for a while. Aggro has now changed and Sops ults himself defensively to make sure he stays alive.
moswal still on that right-hand side. He backed to make sure that Sops and Sheyka weren't going to try to keep split pushing, so now he's actually just been pushing up that creep wave for his team. There's still a T1 and T2 tower on the right-hand side. Noble's just going to look to secure that now.
I mean, this should be a free tier 1 for sure. Can they look for the tier 2 as well, you reckon, Taco? I think they, I mean, there should be 2 towers there, surely.
They can easily take a T1 and a T2 here, even with all 5 members of Salsa Squadron having respawn. Just look at where they're at. They're on the opposite side of the map.
No way to see them whatsoever, so full minion wave coming in. And now Wubbn back to the fray once more. Sheyka's still pushing the left-hand side out a little bit more to slow them down, looking for the tier 2 over there, but he won't be able to get a Phoenix in time, because Noble, well, they want to return to base, spend all this hard-earned gold they just got from the Fire Giant, the surrounding fights, and then go again.
They have so much time remaining on this Fire Giant that it's going to be incredibly easy for Noble to not only take out that last standing T2 tower on the left-hand side, but that's the ideal Phoenix to go for anyway.
It really is, because that's the one famous from the Fire Giant, most difficult to defend, and looking at the team of Noble, they don't really have that many mobile characters to get halfway across the map very quickly. They just have, you know, the classic run over there and get there.
And that's the thing, is that Salsa Squadron, they can get from one side of the map to the other in no time at all, but is it really worth it for what they're lacking? And again, it just keeps coming back to that same issue of who does the damage. Sops has had a really difficult time trying to get past Whalrus and Skeeledon.
So now it's the last tier 2 on the left-hand side. Salsa not in a position to defend it. Obviously, they're going to give this one up. Just allow Sheyka to keep farming. I like the call, by the way. They're sending Sheyka over there. He has got the ultimate, but given these levels to catch up because he needs the damage. We mentioned it so many times. He needs the rudder to Hui, which is being worked on now. He's got plenty of penetration this time round, and it'll just be a big ole through space and time that you're after to make a big impact in the next team fight, which will be more than likely at one of their own Phoenixes.
Whalrus, Wubbn, and Skeeledon are really just trying to be the bouncers of competitive right now, and it's just so difficult with the way that they've stayed grouped on each other. As soon as you get rid of one, the other just comes running in right after.
Now, all it is Salsa just fighting in their own base for the time being to see what happens next. Their engage is good. Like, they've got good setup potential for the team with the Athena, obviously with Ganesha defense. I think they just put Ganesha in the back lines now. Have Ganesha sit at the back and make sure whoever Skeely goes on he immediately silences them.
This is looking completely different, though, from Mineral than what we've seen of him on the Athena. I would have to agree with you entirely. Not a big fan of him trying to take up that direct counter for the Najah.
And it wasn't like, it's just a team decision, not necessarily his personal play. I just think the team decision to run both Athena and Ganesh, on paper it's like, all right, this sounds good, but you've got to put a certain comp with it to make it work, and they didn't do that. And it's really hurting them now as the game goes on. It almost feels like we're harping on it, but it's the big talking point of this game, honestly. Next game, I think Noble should have this in the bag unless they really make a big mistake, because the gold lead is over 10,000 right now, and there's nothing that Salsa can really do other than steal it away.
Salsa can look for the steals on the Fire Giant, but even if they were to steal that FG, they'd have to do it off of Sheyka's ultimate. Otherwise, it'll be too easy for Noble to just collapse on top of them.
Well, they're going to head down left again for a moment or two. Salsa just recognizing what's going on here. Fire Giant spawned in 40 seconds. And maybe one of the reasons you'll see Sheyka on this side is that when they expect the Fire Giant to spawn, they'll have the timer. They'll look for a cheeky Phoenix in response, or Alter Cross about the same time. Obviously, bigger the distance, bigger the damage.
It's just, you can tell night and day in Yunglad and Mineral's gameplay as they're trying to make this composition work out between the two of them. But Yunglad kind of just seemed like he came to that split in the road where he wasn't sure if he should build damage or just go full defense. And it seems like once the team fight started going against Salsa Squadron, he tried to go more the defensive route, but that, again, kind of just brought the team back into that same issue of who do we try to kill?
Well, here we go. Fire Giant started up, and it doesn't look like Salsa Squadron even know the timer. I thought they would, or they just don't feel they can contest it.
They can't contest this. They're not going to bother contesting it because they know their best opportunity to defend is going to be on top of those Phoenixes. We just mentioned it earlier.
Sure.
The only real way that they can steal that Fire Giant and safely escape is if Sheyka gets a random through space and time on it.
Well, let's find out where Noble go first, because first of all, they're going to have to clear out the left-hand side once more. Sheyka's still hanging around here, just keeping minion pressure on this side. This just slows down Noble a little bit in terms of starting up at the left-hand Phoenix, but he's going to be careful about how long he hangs around here, knowing that Noble will be looking for this lane first if they can, and that's going to be the case.
And Wowy has had a relatively quiet game so far. We haven't really talked too much about it, but you can tell that he's really been enjoying playing aggressive on the Hui in comparison to the Jingwei. Jingwei, she can be great for a hyper carry, but you've got to get her to that hyper carry stage.
Well, let's look at Wowy too. I mean, he got the same thing happen to him in this game as what happened in game one. He lost his whole jungle. He got pressured out of the situation, but what he did consistently was sit and just farm safely, and then turn up in the team fights, make a big impact along with the rest of his team, because other members of his team were causing them so many problems that nobody was keeping on the whole year that was just collecting 6 kills for himself so far.
And sometimes that's all you need. Speaking of which, Skeeledon now full build, ending it off with that Deathbringer. So his ult's going to start hurting really bad.
Noble are really scared to go engage here. I mean, they've got such a lead, but they're so timid in terms of the decision-making about what they want to do. They're just looking for a pick. They want Salsa to be the initiator. Salsa, though, doing a good job of not pulling the trigger just yet, because if Noble don't want to do it, it's like, okay, fine, waste the Fire Giant. Like, we're going to make you come to us. Hopefully that's what they do, unless Salsa see a real prime opportunity with yunglad in that blink.
There's no way that yunglad tries to commit anymore with these blink Thoths on Athena. He's been getting wrecked for it every single time.
Well, let's see if he goes for it again, because he walks up, throws out the reach for a second. No minions, so Noble will need to backdoor this. Swing to the left-hand side from Noble, and a swing to the left-hand side from Salsa.
It's just going back and forth,
There and forth. Go.
There it goes. Wubbn, stop playing around. He's ready to try and commit.
Gets his beads out of yunglad. Now yunglad got to go in and taunt onto Whalrus. In comes the big two. Into the backline goes Skeeledon. I'm going to force out the bead tower onto Sheyka. Wowy took out sops so quickly. Big through space and time comes into play from Sheyka, though, who picks up Skeeledon. Lord of the Afterlife from Whalrus going to zone Sheyka away. As moswal now getting some zone work, allowing to put some pressure down. Whalrus and the rest of Noble can now look for this Phoenix, knowing that they still have their AD carry alive with the Fire Giant.
That Phoenix was just deleted. That was insane.
Really
that hieroglyphic wall from moswal on top of just Wowie's damage is just more than enough to just destroy these objectives.
So it's a good attempt from Salsa Squadron to turn that around, but they still lose the Phoenix, and now it's rough because it's 3 mages, technically 3 magical damage dealers, 2 tanks, and a Janus versus the might of this team coming down mid with the Fire Giant.
It was such a great play by Sheyka. He got it onto 3 members. Speaking of which, yunglad now ready to commit with that blink taunt. Gets the beads out, but Sheyka
looks for some damage, can't find it. Wowy will focus the Phoenix down. 2 Guardians versus the World, and the World's going to go back to base.
There was nowhere for Sheyka to go. Just unfortunate. He's had a great performance so far in this game, but both of his actives were forced out by Whalrus during that left Phoenix siege, and because of it, just made him an all-too-easy target for moswal to clean up from a safe distance.
Really, really slow from Noble, though. I will say this feels really slow. Like, I know we saw Salsa Squadron with the game in the bag last game, and we're like, they're playing it safe. I mean, Noble are doing the same thing, but I do feel like they're not aggressing as quick as they want to. They've been trying to wait for Salsa Squadron to commit, and they've just not done it time and time again.
They know that the fights are probably free if Salsa makes a mistake of engaging first. Salsa can't really afford to engage first, and we're probably not going to see them look to be the initiating factor anymore. Well, like we said, it was yunglad, a couple of taunts where he tried to get that blink taunt in, and it was just the immediate turner. I think the best example was actually on that purple buff for Noble, where yunglad looked for that blink taunt initiation. Wowy just drops his ultimate, gets a ricochet mark of the crow off on him, and he was just dead.
So game 3. I mean, I'm talking about game 3 now, because I'm pretty sure this one is over. Game 3, what do we want to see different now at Salsa Squadron? What do they need to do to get back into this?
They just need damage. That's really all that they need. They need a draft that isn't just looking at counter-engage, although that seems to be a bit of their play style. That's kind of what they've been running today and yesterday, and it's worked out incredibly well, but Noble have had time to adapt to this, and Noble, with the experience that they've gathered in the SPL, they should know how to properly build and work around it.
I'm honestly go out there and say just ban the Naja, right? I don't really realistically see Wubbn playing too much Athena. We've not really seen too much of it throughout his career anyway. So I don't think they're going to take it away. And if you put Wubbn on Athena, I'm not too upset either. I'm pretty sure you can play the Ganesha again and be fine, you know? But why not go with that route? Maybe just take away the Naja. And then if you're so worried about it that you have to pick a Ganesha into it, just don't let the Naja be available. I
think it was just a really smart decision by Noble to focus out yunglad and those jungle picks that he's kind of been leaning on. And I'm not saying that that's Younglad's god pool, obviously, Kabrakan and Amaterasu. We've seen a couple of other things out of him, but I'm not a fan of the Guardian. Warrior at most.
Well, Sheyka's very deep on this left-hand side, which means that Noble have a 4v5 for a second here. Skeeledon hanging around the mid lane. Gonna try and put some pressure on. Bruh, the only one at the Phoenix right now.
And it's going to be Wubbn actually looking for the engage. Bruh, not able to immune out that Xing ultimate, and he'll pay for his life on that one.
Already one dead, and the Suns will rain down onto Sops, who will not be able to get away in time because Whalrus will keep the chase going. Oh, the ring toss was good enough, and that's 17-6. The final Phoenix falls, and this could be game 2.
There's just only 3 members left to try and defend, and 2 of them are Guardians. I just don't see this ending well for Salsa in the slightest, and it's not going to. Sheyka can barely even make it into his own fountain safely enough, but he'll be able to live it out as Noble take down the Titan.
Well, Salsa Squadron still survived because they won that first game. It's now 1-1. Deciding game between the 2. Winner goes on to the next round of the Gauntlet. Loser, they're staying home.
And it's going to be a really rough one. I would say, considering that Salsa has come so far already. They really need this victory if they want to keep their hopes alive of making that Challengers to Super Regionals run. Noble, on the other hand, I mean, no team really wants to fall in the same way that they've witnessed all the other competitive teams so far.
No. Let's go.